Hey you, if you haven't seen Avengers Infinity War and you care about spoilers, don't watch this video. We're spoiling the whole thing in 3, 2, 1.
It's finally here after 10 years, 303,460 billion, thousand, fucking trillion films, and countless TV spin-offs that I did not watch. It is time to finally see Thanos do it himself.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
This will probably be the definitive movie of, well, my life. If this film has no repercussions at the end of it, I might just have to stop caring about Marvel films altogether. It is supposed to be the climax, giggity, of the major story arc in the MCU, and I know Avengers 4 is coming out, but I hope this is not just like a setup kind of film for Avengers 4. I want to see something happen. I want repercussions. I want these characters to... I high-key just want them all to die. I want to see what happens if these characters die. I don't know. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time, guys. It's gonna be a really good time. Spider-Man's fucking awesome.
I can't believe they killed Spider-Man!
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake!
Avengers Infinity War is the third film in the Avengers movies and the third film in the MCU directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. So I'm just gonna put my cards out on the table and say that this is my favorite Avengers movie, but not by much. I don't like Age of Ultron at all, and the first Avengers movie is just okay. Yeah, that's right, it's a 6 out of 10. I honestly don't remember anything about my first experience watching the Avengers in theaters, even then, before I turned into a cynical 20-something. I just didn't care for that movie. Anyway, Infinity War is also just okay, but not in the same way as the first one. Although a bunch of parts of Infinity War is a giant mess, this movie reaches the amount of spectacle I haven't felt since Interstellar. I really felt like I got my money's worth. But that's where the similarities between Infinity War and Christopher Nolan's best film end. A big problem I've had with these movies is that they're visually bland, but with things like the Reality Stone, we're able to see these surreal, almost impressionistic images that I wish we were getting in these Marvel movies all along. Although I'm worried that once I see this movie on a normal TV, I'll get the Avatar effect where the spectacle just won't match the theater experience.
Quick shout out to whoever the DP on this film is, because the choices were great. I just wish you would have done so much more.
You mean the visual effects department?
Let it be known that I left the theater at an 8 out of 10. There's too much shit going on in this movie. It is literally a lot. We start off with Thor and Loki, then go to Doctor Strange and Tony, and then go to Spider-Man, then go to Tony and Spider-Man, then go to Vision and Wanda, then go to Cap, Vision, Wanda, Scarlett Johansson, and Falcon, then go to Thor and the Guardians, then get some quick Thanos time, then go back to Thor, then we go back to Black Panther, Wakanda! Then go to Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, then we get Doomsday. There's just so much fucking shit going on. It is a lot to process, and sometimes it can be overwhelming as fuck, but it is still a pretty okay experience at times. You don't really get the same levels of enjoyment you would have got watching the first Avengers film, or watching the airport scene from Civil War. It feels more like an updated version of Age of Ultron that isn't batshit crazy, but still, it's kind of batshit crazy.
Can we please talk about how the directors and the screenwriters completely misused the Guardians of the Galaxy, and how it would have been extremely beneficial if James Gunn was a co-screenwriter or at least an on-set consultant or something for these characters. In the previous two Guardians of the Galaxy films, James Gunn was building up to the moment when Gamora and Peter would finally profess their love for each other. You know, when Peter isn't a self-obsessed, immature prick, and when Gamora is able to be vulnerable with others.
Peter Quill is very clearly in love with Gamora.
Sexual love.
No, I don't.
For her.
No.
But in this film, they're just like, yeah, I love you and shit. Let's kiss and get hot and heavy. And wow, look at that. Drax has been watching us this whole time. Let's do a whole 2-minute comedy bit where Drax thinks he's a ninja. But can we please go back to the part where Peter and Gamora jumped over a whole trilogy's worth of emotional hurdles to say I love you to each other out loud? Also, you'd think that when Peter found out that Thanos killed Gamora, that Peter would help remove the gauntlet that was already almost off, then try to put it on himself and try to bring Gamora back to life because he's selfish, and then he would make a bigger mess out of his selfishness instead of just hitting Thanos until Mantis broke her concentration, or it's just stupid. Like, it's kind of beyond comprehension at this point. I don't even know what to say. It was just like, Star-Lord isn't a complete doofus. He's impulsive, but he's not stupid. was just a really annoying moment in the movie. And Groot was a complete waste of space. The teenager thing was amusing, but he does nothing in the movie until Thor needs a handle for his new axe. Then Groot cuts off his entire arm and turns it into a handle for absolutely no reason. When did Groot suddenly give a shit? Maybe I missed it somewhere because this movie is so dense, but I doubt it. It would have been great if Thor did something nice for Groot early in the film, like some sort of parenting moment that the rest of the characters in the Guardians movies get to have with Groot, but things just happen in this movie, I guess.
In the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Drax rushes in and attacks Ronan. He learns from his mistake and realizes that he's actually made a mistake and that he should have thought something through instead of just rushing in like that. Everyone's got dead people. That doesn't mean you've got to get everyone else dead along the way, or some shit like that. Why did he go and try to attack Thanos? Did he not remember what happened to him?
Quill just got himself captured. None of this ever would have happened if you didn't try to single-handedly take on a freaking army!
You're right. I was a fool. 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 All the anger, all the rage. It's just to cover my loss.
Everybody's got dead people. It's no excuse to get everybody else dead along the way.
I was a fool.
Was this pivotal moment of character development not remembered by the writers of the film? I don't fucking understand. But it's not just the Guardians. Why the hell didn't the Hulk come out and fight? What was up with that? I thought at least he would come for a final battle. Where the fuck was he? What the fuck was the entire arc? The Hulk went from, I'm the Incredible Hulk, to I'm a fucking little bitch. So fast. I don't get it. Yeah, Thanos is strong, and so are his children, but so was the Abomination. But he got the willpower to defeat him and Hulk. What the fuck are you doing? What a fucking waste of a character. It's almost like the Hulk is the Superman of the MCU, and no one knows just how to write Hulk smash and be done with it.
Since we're going on about characters and stuff, let's just talk about the giant elephants in the room. Loki's death bothered me because it was super rushed. He's a monumental character and the movie treated him with the same importance as Heimdall. I mean, I guess that says something about Thanos and his power, but also like everything that Loki did in that scene is everything Loki wouldn't have done in any other movie he's been in. Isn't he like the god of mischief or something? Wouldn't he have been mischievous? And no, him pretending to kneel and then trying to stab him in the throat is not god of mischief level mischief. I don't know, it's just weird. But, you know, whatever. I guess we just needed a reason for Thor to be emotional about something in this movie too.
The intro was great. Loki's death made me feel like, oh wow, this is serious.
I think the movie would have benefited from an extra 15 minutes, and I think some of that time could have been dedicated to the scene before Thanos invades the ship, like a mild continuation of Thor Ragnarok. Wait, so that means Korg and Valkyrie are dead, right? Because they were on the ship at the end of Thor, and they were going to Earth. Right? Weren't they going to Earth? Or were they just exploring? The point is that Valkyrie and Korg were in that ship at the end of the movie. So, and, you know, when this movie starts, there's a bunch of dead bodies on the floor. So they're dead, right? Like, they killed Tessa Thompson off screen. That's stupid. But my feelings on Loki's death pretty much goes for every other death in the movie. They all lacked emotional resonance because none of the characters really got their due. Me, as an audience member, didn't get to really feel the weight of Loki's death, Vision's death, or Gamora's death. But then, off screen, Peter Parker says, Mr. Stark, I'm not feeling so good. And the tears started flowing, my dudes.
The choice to not use generic Marvel film music during this scene really gave a sense of threat to the moment, only for it to be ruined by the fact that it does not matter.
What? Oh, yeah, you're right. But in the moment, I really wasn't ready. Like, I know none of these deaths matter, but for that moment, I believed it. Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. have such good chemistry. It was just a well-acted moment. I love actors because even if the movie is bad or just isn't that great, a great actor can still shine. But then I used my head and realized, one, this movie is basically the first half of the Infinity Gauntlet book, and the second half of the book, everyone basically comes back to life and it's like nothing ever happened. And two, why have they killed off Black Panther twice in a 2-month time span? This boy better come back and never die until he's actually dead. Like, y'all are making it real hard for me to care about this dude, for real.
Marvel's biggest fucking problem isn't anything story related. It's that they announce their fucking films years in advance. It hit me as soon as I got home. Nothing major is going to happen because we already know that in the end, everything will be okay because we're getting Black Panther 2, and Spider-Man is filming next month, and fucking Guardians 3 is going to have Adam Warlock, and Doctor Strange 2 is going to have 12 Years a Slave as the villain. I am kind of fucking over it. Most, if not fucking all of the shocking moments in this film will not stay. I am over this fucking bullshit. It is so irritating to know that you're being low-key manipulated into these feelings that have no consequences in the end. I am just fucking over it. We waited 10 years to see this film, and we should have a sense of finality. But not only do we have to wait until next year when Infinity War 2 comes out, we have to wait just to see everything get reversed and nothing to really happen. I don't theorize when I go to see tentpole blockbusters, and when I do, I want the end result to be farthest away from what I had in mind. It has nothing to do with that. It is just annoying as shit to see consequences have no consequence. None of this fucking matters. Now I'm at a 7 out of 10.
Speaking of Thor, this was the best he's ever been in my opinion.
What? We weren't even talking about Thor.
Well, I was about 2 or 3 minutes ago, and you said none of this fucking matters, and that's how I feel whenever I watch a Thor movie, so... In other movies, I found the character to be really boring, and Hemsworth's performances to range from uninspired to just charming enough, but everything he did in this movie worked for me. Somewhere along the way, Thor comes across a giant dwarf played by Peter Dinklage, who gives easily the worst performance in the entire movie. The worst one. Another thing, so the whole movie is based around these Infinity Stones, right? And we all know their names, but we have zero idea of what they do. How does everyone know what will happen if Thanos gets all the Infinity Stones if no one has ever had all of the Infinity Stones before? They've never been explained. I read Infinity Gauntlet about 3 years ago and I still have no idea what these stones actually do. And it's not the comic's fault, it should have been explained in the film. Again, that extra 15 minutes would have been great. Anyway, the stone I feel I understand the most, but at the same time I understand the least, is the Time Stone. With the Time Stone, you can manipulate time and stuff. It seems like an easy enough concept to grasp. Even more so at the end of Doctor Strange, which, speaking of, why didn't Doctor Strange trap Thanos in that endless loop like he did with Dormammu? Why are we not trying to bargain with this man?
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Why didn't he go back in time and kill Thanos as a baby? Or something of that equivalent, like stopping the gauntlet from being created. I don't know, something. I'm even more confused because Strange looks at all the possible outcomes and is all like, out of 14 million outcomes, only one results in our victory, or whatever. But then he just gives up the Time Stone for seemingly no reason, and before he turns to ash, he says, it's the only way. So like, he was being cryptic and made all these dudes fight Thanos for no reason, when he could have just explained, hey, if we give him the stone, such and such will happen, and you'll die, but blah blah blah, and then you'll come back to life because blah blah blah. But maybe he had to let the fight happen in order to... You see how writing stories with time travel can be really confusing and...
Speaking of Josh Brolin,
We haven't gotten to him yet. What do you mean, speaking of?
I just wanted to do it because you did it. Anyway, speaking of Josh Brolin, Thanos is the MCU's greatest villain hands down. He's given emotional depth and an understanding of why he wants to do what he's doing. It is basically population control, and it fits well. It's better than the comics where he's just doing it to please Death. Death is an actual character in the comics, and I thought at first Hela was going to replace Death in the MCU, but I'm glad she didn't, because Thor 3, the third Thor Ragnarok 3 in IMAX 3D, is stupid as shit. Anyway, Thanos is great, and I'm glad that he was the main focus of the film. This is basically a Thanos movie, and not anyone else's.
Thanos was a mixed bag for me. I very much enjoyed what the character was able to accomplish in the film, like the fact that he won and got everything he wanted. On the other hand, part of me wishes that they might have done something to mildly manipulate Josh Brolin's voice in post-production. Not Oscar Isaac and X-Men Apocalypse levels of manipulation.
Everything they've built will fall! Everything they've built will fall! Everything they've built will fall! And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one!
You know what? Maybe if Josh Brolin just used more bass in his voice all the time. Not to a theatrical level, but just more than he ended up using. I'm only saying this because there were times where I would look at Thanos and think, wow, his voice really isn't matching how enormous this dude is. Like, if you guys remember watching Andre the Giant speak, the dude was 7'4" and over 500 pounds and he sounded like this in real life.
Oh yeah, before I was in wrestling, I played for 4 years in soccer and 2 years in rugby. And I was for 1 year in boxing, and now for the last 13 years in wrestling.
And then you listen to Thanos talk, and he sounds like this.
The end is near.
I don't know, I just couldn't get that out of my head once I thought about it, and it completely bothered me. Also, I kinda wish they just put Josh Brolin in a costume and makeup and stuff instead of using CG. I mean, the CG looks good most of the time, but it's just really distracting other times. You just can't beat the real thing, honestly. I'm having a hard time believing that we'll ever get to the point where a CG character will blend in perfectly with real people. I feel like there will always be that disconnect. If I remember correctly, when Thanos killed Gamora and got the Soul Stone and Red Skull was like, "Hey guys, I'm here," was when the CGI looked the best, but even then, whenever we'd cut to Gamora, who's a real person, it just looked weird.
The overall story was kind of predictable and cookie cutter. I haven't seen a Marvel film be unpredictable since 2014's The Winter Soldier, and although it has some dumb moments, it is still my second favorite Marvel film of the 19 we've gotten. Comedy has always plagued these films. This movie has great moments of tension, and it is all brought down because someone says some stupid fucking joke, or just doing something stupid. Why did both the Gamora Star-Lord and WandaVision romance be super similar, but not have cuts in between them at all? Just a quick question, but why does each Avengers movie have a faceless army that has to be battled? Why not just have a battle with the main baddie or main baddies? Nobody expects anyone important to die from someone in any of the armies. Real quick, at the post-credit scene, how the fuck is Captain Marvel supposed to beat Thanos? What in her power set gives her the ability to destroy him? Wait, now that I'm thinking about it, what the hell has Captain Marvel been doing the entire time? Where was she when Xandar was being destroyed? Where was she when Loki came to Earth? Where was she when Ronan returned? Ugh.
Wouldn't it have been great if Marvel realized that they had the trust of the general public and they didn't have to announce anything and everything, and after the beeper that showed the Captain Marvel logo, we cut to the other beeper and saw a hand pick it up and the camera tilts up and we see Brie Larson as Captain Marvel? That would have been cool, but I guess we just have to settle for Comic-Con announcements instead.
Joining us, Captain Marvel herself, Brie Larson!
Infinity War is a mixed bag for me. It is filled with moments I love and moments I hate. It is truly a love-hate kind of movie and low-key a disappointment to what it should have been. Yes, this movie has its fun moments, but that is not enough. This is the movie that's supposed to be the culmination of 10 years of films that I was able to bond over with my dad and my friends. I hate being that guy who dislikes a film that is generally liked, but hopefully my reasoning as to why this movie is not the best movie ever made will open your eyes and take off your nerd blinders. I'm going to give Avengers Infinity War a 6 out of 10. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, and to give it a pass of any sort is just wrong. Stop accepting the bare minimum and demand more from your movies. You are paying extremely high prices for them after all.
You know what? He ain't wrong.